as he had 44 points, 10 dimes, and 5 steals. In the entirety of NBA history, only one other player has accomplished that feat.
All right, welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you all having a good day so far. So, saddle up. This is going to be a long one. This is Uncut Hoops. The Truth About Michael Jordan's Career, Part 4. I've been anxiously awaiting Part 4. As you know, I've reacted to all 3 parts prior to this. And I always love getting Uncut's input on whatever I'm reacting to. So I'm hoping the ritual continues, and I hope I see you in the comments here, Uncut. And once again, thank you for these. These are my favorite videos you've ever put out. So I am absolutely loving these, and I see here that you say part 4 of 12. So I can't believe it. And I'll believe it when I see it, but 8 more parts of this. And this part alone is what, an hour and 2 minutes? So this is exciting. The first 3 parts covered more so of Jordan's beginning, the beginning of his career, and highlighting the struggles that he went through, you know, as a young basketball player on the Chicago Bulls, who were terrible, and going through the East, which was stacked. So, you know, we got to see like his struggles with Bird, you know, which was one of the greatest teams of all time, and, you know, dealing with new coaches. And we're about to hit that stride, I believe, right here in this video where everything starts to line up. So I'm excited about it. I shouldn't be doing a long intro like this because this is going to be a long video. As I always do, you guys, I'm going to link the original video from Uncut down below. So if you want to watch this without my commentary, it's right there for you. And also, if you want to watch my reaction and then go sub to Uncut and check out his other stuff, highly, highly recommend it. One of the best YouTube basketball channels out there, hands down, in my opinion. Anyways, link is down there. Shout out to Uncut for the great work, everybody. Y'all ready for this? Leave the video a like if you don't mind. It helps to pump it out in the very beginning. And guys, let's do this. Here we go. Grab a drink, grab some snacks. You know the drill.
Just understand how powerful commercials are. And now, an Air Jordan campaign for 20 years devoted to one human. It's created a Teflon shield around Michael. That's why I call it mythology. It's as if he never missed a shot.
But what the media doesn't want you to know about Michael Jordan could fill a damn library.
You didn't need this documentary to know that Jordan was an all-time great on the court. This is ridiculous.
When discussing Michael Jeffrey Jordan's career, there's tons of false narratives, myths, and downright lies.
I mean, right off the bat, like, whoever said Michael Jordan never missed a shot? Whoever said Michael Jordan never lost a game? Not a Jordan fan, I'll tell you that.
And looking at Jordan in the 80s, what I'm always told is that Jordan at this point, he was selfish, only a scorer, not a great passer, he couldn't carry a team, and he was nothing without Scottie Pippen.
You serious, Clark?
And looking at MJ in 1989, during the regular season, this guy's all-around game, offensively, combined with the defense, never been better. As Jordan this year, 32.5 points, 8 boards, 8 assists, both career highs, on nearly 54% shooting.
I mean, hold up. Okay. The 32.5, yeah, that's MJ. And that's an MJ who's starting to trust his team a little bit more. Not quite all the way where he needs to go. 8 assists for a shooting guard's fantastic. 8 rebounds for a shooting guard's ridiculous. 3 steals, that's freaking MJ. And 54% shooting, also ridiculous. These are astronomical numbers. The absolutely fantastic numbers.
8 boards, 8 assists, both career highs, on nearly 54% shooting. And of course, Jordan this year, first in scoring, third in steals, and 10th in assists. If you look at players in NBA history to have a 38-8 season, that list is exclusive. Of course, you have...
Hold up. I wanted to look at the rest of that team. Dennis Rodman, Joe D, yeah, two guys right on the same team there in the Pistons. Larry Nance, very, very cool. And Mark Eaton. Wow, those are two names I haven't seen in a while, especially Eaton. Okay. And by the way, you guys, my voice is still a little off. This cold just doesn't want to go away. I'm perfectly fine. It's just one of those December colds that, coughing, sneezing, that kind of stuff. So I'm not dying or nothing, but man, this cold has lasted a long time. So I just apologize for my voice.
We have a 38-8 season. That list is exclusive. Of course, you have Jordan, also the Big O, Luka Doncic, and of course, Russell Westbrook. And looking at those three guys, Luka, Russ, and Oscar, they're kind of held in high regard as great all-around offensive players, do-it-all offensive players. When of course Jordan gets kind of pigeonholed and stereotyped as only a great scorer. And going one step further with MJ being a great all-around offensive player as well as a great passer.
I think we're starting to do that with Luka too. Actually, I think it's been happening for a couple of years. We are talking about Luka like this, like he can never win. But if he ever gets over that hump and starts winning, the narrative's going to change a lot. Will it happen? I don't know. I'm a big Kyrie fan, so I hope it does.
The final 24 games of the 89 season MJ officially was given the point guard duties, as of course Sam Vincent, sent to the bench, got a lot of DNPs, and was really kind of discarded. Now Jordan at the point...
Sam Vincent. I have a card of Sam Vincent because it has MJ in the background, and MJ was wearing... Oh man, I have the card here. I think it was number 12 that game. So some mishap with his 23 jersey happened, and he had to wear a different number. And I don't know. Anyways.
Absolutely phenomenal. 30.4 points per game, 10.7 dimes, nearly 10 boards on 50% shooting.
Yeah, that's point guard
MJ in
MJ.
24 games at the point, 7 straight triple-doubles, including 10 in 12 games. If you put prime MJ at the point, what you're going to get is a production of something like Russell Westbrook in 2017. But of course, MJ, the far superior defender, and much more efficient.
It's Nance against Sellers. Out front to Valentine. Ball stolen by Jordan. Jordan drives to the other end. Wham! With a right
play, Detroit Pistons. And away on the
Crazy.
The block. A lot of pressure on the guy. Jordan steals the inbound pass. Off to the races.
It's just crazy.
And kind of...
It's just one of those things where it shows that MJ could do it all, but having a dude like Pippen and then Grant start to slowly step up, Horace that is, was really needed for him because, yeah, he could do it all, but dude, he shouldn't have to do everything on both ends. So at least those two guys were able to help him out a little bit defensively, and MJ could still lock down on the offensive end.
Going right in line with that Russell Westbrook comparison,
Boom.
MJ 89 supporting cast, much like Russ in 2017, didn't have much help, especially offensively.
Yeah.
And looking at Scottie Pippen, his best offensive teammate, Pip at this point a full-time starter and was improving drastically compared to his rookie season. Was he an all-star, a superstar,
No.
even a really great player? Not at this point.
He was helping
But
on
he
a
was
defensive
improving.
end, though.
Now looking at Jordan's second best player from 88, that of course was Charles Oakley, who was only 24 years old. But the Bulls, they traded Oakley to New York for Bill Cartwright. Now, Bill Cartwright at this point, he was a backup center to Patrick Ewing the
Look at this
entire
shot.
88 season.
Look at this shot.
Averaged like 11 points per game.
Look at that. That's more off balance than I remember. It's been a while since I've seen this free throw. What an angle, uncut. What an angle. Oh.
Was kind of a washed up has-been. Not a great player.
Yeah, Bill
The
was
Bulls trading
terrible.
Oakley before he entered his prime. The guy was Jordan's best friend, his enforcer, really his right-hand man. That was kind of a shock to the Bulls, and especially MJ. And getting back Bill Cartwright, Cartwright at this point, his nickname was Medical Bill.
No.
Yeah, he was old, man. He was just old.
Ow.
And looking at Jordan's supporting cast offensively,
Sellers.
compare the entire NBA. Pippen this year scoring-wise ranked 76 in the NBA at 14.4 points per game. Of course, behind Jordan, the second leading scorer on the Bulls. If you look at all 16
Crazy.
playoff teams 89, only one of the teams didn't have multiple players top 75 in scoring. And that team, of course, was MJ's Bulls. Now, speaking of teams with multiple top 75 scorers, the Cleveland Cavaliers had their fair share. And of course, 89, one of the premier teams in the Eastern Conference as they nearly cracked 60 wins.
Yeah.
And on the season, first net rating, second defensive rating.
Wow, 37-4 home record for the 89 Cavs.
Third in points per game, and at home only lost 4 games. The Cavs this year, a total of 3 All-Stars. Mark Price, Brad Daugherty, Larry Nance, but also Ron Harper, a solid 17 points per game, and debatably their best wing scorer. This Cavaliers team 89, they were heavily favored to beat the Bulls and avenge their loss from 88. And this Cavs team at that point, they were being dubbed the team of the 90s.
Sparking the Cavs with his inspired play, Nance is thinking NBA championship. And with his soft touch and dynamic athleticism, there may be nothing that can stand in his way.
For Nance, he drives, wham, with a right
Yep.
hand.
This is what I'm in the league for. This is what I've been playing for. And I think this team right here is a team that I can do it on.
Yeah.
And whether it's this year, next year, or whenever, I think this is the team that can do it, and it would mean, the whole thing to me.
I remember Larry Nance was in the dunk contest around this time too. Yeah, this was a solid team between Price, Nance, Daugherty, Harper. Like, this was a really solid team.
Said it. I mean, everybody was calling us the team of the 90s.
we beat Chicago 6 times that year. And I tell people all the time that at least that one particular,
look at that
season,
starting lineup.
We were the better team.
But yeah, by far. Looking at this, win. Okay. Well, this is like I don't know. This is a wash because this is 89 Pippen, so he wasn't that great yet. I'll just let this be a wash. So win, easy win for Brad, easy win for Harp, and this one MJ takes the cake.
That season, we were the better team, but come playoff time, Chicago had the better player.
Yep.
So Mark Price right there summed it up pretty well. The 89 Cavaliers compared to the Bulls, the much better team.
Yep.
Offensively, defensively, they had better coaching, more depth, more shooting, really better at everything. But the Bulls, they had the one X factor, and that, of course, was Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Yes, sir.
And looking at Jordan Game 1 versus Cleveland in Cleveland, a place they lost only 4 times all year, MJ the first half jumped out quick with 20.
I just want to point one thing out real quick. Right here. This would look to... This is why numbers are just... Stats are just stats, in my mind. Winning is what counts. Because if you look at the numbers here from 87 to 89, you'd think MJ is on a decline. No. MJ's actually... He's figuring out the game here. So him going down to 32.5 was a good start as far as understanding how to win games. And that means you need other people involved on your team. You can't just win it by yourself. So him going from 37.1 down to 32.5 was a good start. Seems like he forgot that when the playoffs came around. Because look what he's doing here. But desperate times call for desperate measures. And then by the time the 90-91 season comes around, I believe his average was right at 30 points. 30 point something. We'll probably see it in this video.
Well, Jeffrey Jordan. And looking at Jordan, MJ the first half jumped out quick with 22 points in the Bulls, a double-digit lead. And for the majority of the third quarter and fourth quarter, it was an 8 to 10 point deficit the entire time. And when Cleveland made a minor run, Jordan immediately shut that door with a dagger jump shot.
Inside a minute to play. Jordan against Elo. Jordan goes to the line, 15-footer, and there's the old final nail in the coffin.
Now, that Game 1 victory in a 5-game series, that's vital, a huge win, especially on Cleveland's home floor. But here's the catch. Mark Price in Game 1 did not play. He was out and hurt.
Oh.
Now, Game 2, Mark Price would come back and play, and the Cavaliers look much better. Mark Price's individual game
he was their
wasn't
engine.
Great, 5-18 shooting, but him being on the floor, his presence alone, elevated the entire Cavaliers team.
Absolutely.
And someone like Ron Harper showed up big.
Yeah, he's the guy who's running the offense, so he's the engine that made that team go. So even if he's not shooting well, his presence is extremely important. He was a real point guard.
In the first half, a whopping 22 points while playing great defense on MJ. Now, MJ the second...
Was that Harper? Sorry, guys.
And someone like Ron Harper showed up big.
Okay.
As in the first half, a whopping 22 points while playing great defense on MJ.
First half, 22.
Now, MJ the second half, especially the fourth quarter, took on more of a scoring role, a score-first role, and tried to lead a comeback. But the Bulls' offense, if Jordan wasn't cooking, they were just really anemic.
Oh, crap.
So in kind of an inverse of Game 1, Ron Harper took on the MJ role, and Jordan more of a passive facilitator, and the fourth quarter couldn't will Chicago back to make it a ball game. So series tied 1-1, heading back to Chicago. And looking at Jordan at this point, outside that first half in Game 1, very much a facilitator and being a pass-first player. And Game 3, pretty much the exact same thing. And the Bulls in the first half had a whopping 22-point lead.
Damn.
Now, like many Bulls games in the past, this lead...
Wow. That's what stands out to me. So they must have been just locked down defense on the Cavs. 23 points and a half. Well, okay, almost and a half.
Whopping 22-point lead. Now, like many Bulls games in the past, this lead shrank minute by minute, quarter by quarter, to eventually in the fourth quarter, it was a ball game.
To go, the Cavs have a foul to give. Jordan on the drive.
And one.
Harper doing an excellent job early on, but Michael starting to take control. But not a good three-point shooting team without Price.
Listen to that crowd. There you go, good D.
Jordan, it's going to be big.
Ooh, he still added the flair. Doug.
Doing it all, offensively, defensively, shaking in the paint and delivering that.
The way this game has gone tonight.
Clutch free throws, bud. Clutch free throws.
Not yet. You bet.
Bang. There you go.
Tonight, I'm to select the MVP of the game, and it's easy.
He didn't get the shot. Cleveland had the ball, threw it.
Damn, he's not switching any of them.
MJ in Game 3 versus the Cavaliers not only closed it down the stretch, but for the entire game was fantastic.
That's clutch to make all those free throws at the end like that with the game on the line in the playoffs. That's super clutch.
On both ends, as he had 44 points, 10 dimes, and 5 steals. In the entirety of NBA history, only one other player has accomplished that feat. And of course, that's Russell Westbrook. And looking at Game 4 in Chicago, the Cavaliers face elimination. This is the most hard-fought game of the series up to this point. And the first quarter, second quarter, even the third quarter, Bulls up by 2 points here, 4 points there. It was really back and forth, but Chicago had the lead the entire time. Now the fourth quarter, Cleveland went on a 15-6 run, took a lead, and Chicago was down by 4 points with under 5 minutes left. Now MJ, just like in Game 3, kinda went into hero mode, trying to pull off a miracle. And out of the Bulls' next 11 points, MJ had 9 of the 11. And late in the fourth quarter, once again headed to the line for some big-time free throws.
Up by 1.
All right, this is where it's at, MJ.
Got to knock both of these in. There's one.
Nice. Oh.
Sanders.
Finally missed one.
Gets it into Harper to Price. Price over to Doherty. Doherty runs into from the line in this series coming in. Biggest free throw of his career right now.
Right.
And
Drill is it.
Go.
All right. Tie game. 4 seconds.
Michael puts it up.
Oh.
No. Overtime.
Now MJ
By the way, I don't know about you guys, those of you who are hoopers, but I used to always, actually I still do whenever I shoot around, but I used to always start every workout with free throws. I got to drill my free throws, take 10. And then when I'm exhausted at the end of my workout, I got to drill some more free throws before I can walk off that court. This is why, by the way, because you never know at the initial free throws calibrate my shot. And then at the end of a workout, when you're exhausted, I need to prove to myself I can still drill these free throws despite being exhausted. So it's like a calibration while leaving.
They not only missed free throws, but missed the game-winning jump shot. And in OT, the Bulls, they were absolutely blown off the Cavaliers, a massive comeback and win. And looking at Jordan's play in the fourth quarter and OT, well, he had good overall numbers. It really wasn't typical MJ, dominant MJ.
His field goal percentage was shitty in the fourth. His free throw percentage is great. 10 for 12. That puts him at, it is average, 80-something%. But yeah, his 2 for 7, that was not quite MJ-esque, but he still got his points. So he was getting fouled.
MJ in the clutch moments. And if you want to talk late game free throw shooting, Jordan at this point in his career was fantastic in those spots.
Yeah, he always
Go back
was.
to 86 versus Celtics. 2 big free throws with zeros on the clock. Even 88 versus Cleveland the previous year, MJ at the line iced the series and won the series for Chicago. And before we look at Game 5 in Cleveland, staying on Game 4 very quickly, MJ in this game, 50 points, 4 assists, 3 steals on 50% shooting.
Nice.
If you're just stat watching looking
Yep.
at the box score, MJ this game can't be blamed in the slightest for the Bulls' loss. But of course, if you watch the game Jordan in the fourth quarter OT, the biggest moments, he simply came up short.
Yeah.
What's my overall point? You can have gaudy stat numbers and still have a bad game.
100%.
Game 4 versus Cleveland, MJ stat-wise, fantastic. Jordan's overall game, how he closed the game, far from perfect. Now, the one upside to MJ not coming through in Game 4 was we got Game 5 in Cleveland.
Now, that's the funny thing. I remember a couple of games ago before Lebowko went off and is now gonna, probably juice up and do whatever the hell he's gonna do before he comes back to the Lakers. There was a game he had a triple double, but the last shot of the game, he popped a 3, and it just clanked off the backboard. Didn't touch rim, no nothing, and to me it was just like, oh, okay, well he had his shot and he choked it. That defines the game to me. The stats are just empty, but like I remember getting into like the comment section of like a House of Highlights video, and I was like, LeBron didn't even hit the rim on that last shot, and everyone just jumped at me. The dude had a triple double. What do you want from him? It's not his fault. And I'm like, yeah, but what I said is true. He clanked that last shot. He didn't even hit the rim. Like, how do you do that with the game on the line? But people just people just care about stats, like Uncut saying. But you got to actually watch the game to understand the context, because you could score 50 points in a game, but you could also cost your team to lose.
And of course, this game, it's iconic, historic, one of the best games in NBA history. And the first half of this Game 5 in Cleveland, the Cavaliers had a lead from the first quarter all the way to halftime.
Yeah.
MJ in the first half,
This game does make
he
history.
much more facilitator or passer, a willing passer. Now, the second half, MJ cranked that scoring level up pretty quickly.
Crank that,
In the
soldier.
second half, at one point, had 18 of the Bulls, 23 points. The second half of Game 5, Jordan, offensively, he wasn't getting much help from his teammates. But Jordan in this fourth quarter, he avenged all his mistakes in Game 4.
There you
As
go,
in this
70%.
quarter, 17 points, 1 dime, 7 of 10 shooting.
Every possession.
There's your clear out.
There's the clear out. Elo
Ooh.
guarding Jordan. Double
Into the
team by
double.
Rollins. 8 on the
Reset.
shot clock.
That's a full
Jordan
double
now
committed.
follows to the middle, and Scottie Pippen fires
Ooh,
a 3.
good shot, Pip.
In 1 second. 2-point lead for Chicago, 97-95. Harper leaves it for Elo, goes for 3, and
Damn.
98-97 lead. That's his second 3-point hoop in the last minute and a half. Cross defended by Harper. 11 seconds to go.
In the middle of the floor.
Jordan has it. And Jordan puts up a jumper and hits with 6 seconds to go.
They didn't double him on that one.
Elo will inbound. He gets it into Nance. Gets the ball.
Oh,
back,
yeah, I
drives to the
remember
hoop,
this.
lays it in with
That
3
was a good
seconds to
play.
go.
All right, you guys. You've all seen this. Welcome to a moment in history. Give me that.
Zellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer.
Tell me that's not a guy who wants this shot. Like, look how bad he wants this shot. He's fighting through everyone. Give me that.
Zellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago.
Yeah, that was a huge
So that
upset.
sequence from Jordan right there made all the right plays, all the right choices, and because of that, won Chicago the game. And that shot over Elo,
44-96.
why it's so important, so unique, it is the only true do-or-die shot in NBA history. As this was Game 5, no tomorrow, the Bulls down by 1, it was a buzzer beater. He makes it, they win, they lose, it's over. That is the only shot in NBA history that has that unique distinction and that much weight on that basket.
Does it really?
Pretty important to note. Also,
Does
one
it
thing
really? Wow. I didn't know that. Are we talking about in the playoffs or just in general? Like a do or die? I'm assuming you mean like in the playoffs, a do or die for the series. But that's interesting. That's a lot of pressure.
I do want to note, what did Jordan do with the game on line? He passed it to Scottie Pippen. That is the first big Pippen-Jordan moment, their connection being on full display. And Jordan right there trusting his teammates, showing once again he's not a ball hog.
I would say that MJ's deficiency, and nobody ever wants to talk about it, we torched Kobe for his selfish plays because we watched it firsthand all at the same time, and there was social media. So we could say, yo, he shot over 5 people.
On the shot clock, Jordan now funneled to the middle, and Scottie Pippen fires a
MJ was not selfish.
We don't say that for Michael Jordan because we don't see all of the game footage right away. But that's a deficiency to me, that he won't make the right play.
This is funny.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
If you ask me personally, Jordan.
And by the way, I've reacted to that podcast. Muggsy Bogues is hilarious. I don't know if Uncut's going to show it, but Muggsy and Mark are basically like, so the guy is good enough to shoot better than everybody else, over 50%, while 5 guys are guarding him, and you call that a deficiency? And they start laughing their ass off. Like, I call that a skill.
Perfect clutch time player with a perfect blend of being unselfish, but also being a killer and a go-getter.
Yep.
Now, looking past Jordan's Game 5 heroics, his great fourth quarter play, clutch time play, Jordan the entire series averaged respectable 39.8 points per game, 1 point shy of averaging 40.
Yeah, that'll get her done.
Looking at all of NBA playoff history, the series versus Cleveland, it ranks 10th all time for the highest points per game in a playoff series. And of course, Jordan on this list featured numerous times. Now that 39...
Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 6 of the top 10 spots. Wow. Anybody modern? How is there nobody in a modern league in here with the inflated scoring? Where's the consistency?
Series. And of course, Jordan on this list featured numerous times. Now that 39.8 average, it is of course very impressive. But looking at Jordan post Game 2, Games 3 through 5, that's when Jordan truly became a score-first player and hyper-aggressive. As looking at those games, 46.0 points, nearly 7 dimes, 6 boards, 3 steals on again above 50% shooting.
Crazy.
Jordan in Game 3 had 44. Game 4, 50, and in Game 5, dropped 44 yet again. And look, don't get me wrong, Jordan Game 1 and 2 had 30-point double-doubles via assist. Jordan in those games still played very, very well, but Game 3 through 5 took it from an A-plus game to an A++ game.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
And going one step further very quickly, Jordan in those games, the second half alone, Game 3, 30 points, Game 4, 31, and Game 5, again dropped 30. That is MJ in 3 straight playoff games, scoring 30 or more in the second half. That in league history,
30 or more
the
in the
longest
second
streak
half.
ever.
Wow.
And compared to his entire Bulls team, the supporting cast.
And that just shows he's getting his team involved in the first half. He was learning. And, I mean, the rest is history. He was right about to get over the hump right here.
Game 3 through 5 the second half, 91 points.
Crazy.
The Bulls, only 72. To put this into perspective, looking at all of playoff history at 30-point halves, whether it be first half or second half, Jordan the Cavs series alone would rank 3rd all-time for the most 30-point halves. And of course, all these games came consecutively.
Damn.
And looking at Jordan for the entire series, for his second half scoring, he averaged 22.8 points per game versus Cleveland 89. That for a single playoff series all-time ranks 2nd behind Kobe in 01 at 23.0 points per game.
Wow.
And I mean, look at that list right there. Premier playoff players out of the last 25 years. Guys like Durant, LeBron, a Giannis, and of course, a Kobe Bryant.
Amari in 2005. Hell yeah. That pick and roll, baby. Book 2023. 2023. You were playing point guard at that point. Okay. Giannis, yeah, that's when he destroyed the hearts of us in Phoenix. I'm going to move on. LeBron's only in there once, of course. MJ, 2, 3, 4.
But out of that entire list, who's featured 4 times.
Let's go!
MJ versus the Cavaliers in the 80s, facing superior teams, being the underdog, not the favorite, not having home court advantage, killed this team time and time again. As looking at both first-round series, 88 and 89, Jordan versus Cleveland, 42.5 points per game, 7 dimes, 6 boards, only 3 steals, on 54% shooting.
Yeah, poor Cleveland.
Jordan versus Cavaliers team not once shot under 45% in a single game, and his lowest scoring game was 30 points. If you said Michael Jordan versus the Cavaliers 88-89, that was his entire playoff career, his resume, only 10 games. Jordan still ranked second all time in 50-point games, only behind Wilt Chamberlain.
Outrageous.
When fans nowadays say a player owns a team, owns a franchise,
he owns them.
Yes, some guys have immense success versus one team. But there's not a single player in league history who not only dominated a franchise, but decimated and destroyed them, like MJ versus the Cavaliers.
Yeah, and it lasted his entire career. He owned Cleveland forever. And that's, just is what it is. The only thing like recently I can think of is like, I mean, it's got a long way to go, but Jokic owning LeBron and the Lakers. But, you know, it's been going on for years, but MJ continued to do this into his entire career to Cleveland. So we'll see if Jokic continues to punish LA for the rest of his career.
Now, looking ahead to the second round Chicago this time, to be matched up is the New York Knicks, led by Patrick Ewing, as well as Mark Jackson. And this Knicks team, unlike the 90s Knicks, they weren't purely defensive. Offensively, their ranks actually higher than their defensive ranks. And of course, looking at their roster, Mark Jackson, all-star player, Pat Ewing, all-star, finished 4th in MVP voting. Of course, you had Oakley, the Bulls' second best player in 88. You had Johnny Newman, a great 3-and-D player, as well as Joe Wilkins, one of the OG Jordan stoppers.
Was Pat here at this point coaching? I can't remember if this is his first season with New York or if he was closing out with the Lakers still at this point.
And look, this Knicks team defensive strategy in the half court, I mean, it was pretty simple and in line with all the other teams.
Yeah,
be
true
physical,
dedicated
show
double
bodies, and at the rim, contest all of his shots. Now, where the Knicks differed, they actually ran a full court trap and a full court press, which for the NBA nowadays, even back then, was virtually unheard of.
Individually, I'm going to have to deny him the ball as much as possible and just keep him off balance. I think without changing defenses, presses, and half-court defenses, it will basically keep him out of the middle as much as possible. But it's a very, very hard task in stopping a Michael Jordan, almost impossible.
And the main goal of this trap and why they press so much, of course, drain Jordan's energy, but also make him a passer.
And they're trying to force some turnovers too.
And Jordan in Game 1 versus the trap, from the opening tip, he broke them time and time again.
Into the corner for Hodges. The Knicks are going to play that type of basketball the way that they had their success during the regular season. They're going to do a lot of trapping, and they're going to be doing a lot of three-point shooting. This time, Jordan with the...
They give the ball to Michael Jordan. They spread the court all open. They say, Michael, find someone. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's dribbling around. The Knicks have to double-team Michael, or he goes to the basket and scores. So when they double-team him, he's finding guys to hit three-pointers.
As a point guard, were you surprised when they moved him to the point position, and how do you assess his performance?
Well, it's tough. You know, when they put Michael Jordan at point, you knew what was going to happen. They was going to spread the floor. You have to double-team him. He's finding everyone. And now the Bulls believe that they can make three-pointers.
So that right there, Jordan making the right plays, making the right reads, and just picking the press apart play by play. Now, why this press kind of worked in essence is because Jordan had an 18-minute stretch where he didn't make a single field goal.
And if you're a choker and you can't deal with pressure, that kind of pressure will destroy a person. It'll frustrate you, but you can see MJ is just calm, composed. He's reading the defense and he's looking for the open guy. He's true ice veins.
Say that again?
So that right there was MJ in the first three quarters, kind of picking his spots,
11 points,
being very
9
selective.
assists.
Now in the fourth quarter, Jordan turned it up a notch, scored 8 points in the final 8 minutes,
Nice
and brought the
feed.
Bulls back to force OT. And looking at the scoreboard, the game was tied 109 to 109. Jordan from that point on would score 7 of the Bulls' next 9 points, and the Knicks wouldn't score for the rest of the quarter.
That's awesome. Yep. Killer time.
Jordan from the corner. He won't miss that one. Recycle the shot clock. Jordan sees an opening in the lane.
Oh, classic.
The reverse will fall. That says it all, Bob. The guy is amazing. And still has a
That says it all. The guy's amazing.
Grant's the only real big open court guy, but Paxson's got trouble. To Jordan. To the hole.
Guy went from being the main facilitator to
looking at Jordan the
to the
fourth
most
quarter
deadly
in
scorer.
overtime. I mean, this dude just flipped the switch just like that. In those 2 quarters, 17 points, 2 assists, phenomenal shooting, and perfect from the line.
Yeah, 7 for 7. Beautiful.
When it came down to Jordan time, money time, MJ time and time again would step up just like this. And beating New York at home, that was a monumental deal. As the Knicks at this point were an impressive 35-6 on their home floor, the 3rd best mark of the season. And of course, the 2nd straight series, the Bulls pulled a massive Game 1 upset. Now, looking at Game 2 in the Garden, much like Game 2 versus Cleveland, the Knicks would bounce back in a big way. And Jordan the first half, I mean, he was playing well, not fantastic, had 10 points. But like the first half of Game 1, kind of forced to be a passer, not a score-first player. And the Knicks, time and time again, picking him up full court, trapping him at half court, just showing him bodies and double teams every single play, every single possession.
A quick 9-point lead by New York. They're able to hold on. What did they do so well in the first part of the game?
Well, what they did was to trap, rotate real well against the Chicago Bulls. They really covered people. Right here, you see the cover, they cut the middle off. Right here, again, someone beat someone, they cut the middle off, and again, they make them take a tough shot.
Yeah, the difference I'm seeing in Game 2 is they're recovering much quicker. So they're still doing the same trap, but they're recovering back onto the open guy really, really quick and contesting the shot still. That's hard to do. That's solid defense.
Watching Game 1 and Game 2 versus the Knicks, it's fairly obvious New York, they don't care about anyone else on the court except Jordan when it comes to offense. I mean, the Knicks' treatment of Cartwright, Pippen, Grant, even someone like Craig Hodges, it's dismissive. Their entire focus is on Michael Jordan. And in Game 2, Jordan, he managed only 15 points. Why that's notable is that MJ in his playoff career has the lowest of his entire career.
Wow.
And leading up to this matchup,
they were really dedicated to that strategy of making MJ a facilitator that game.
Hadn't scored less than 30 in a single ball game. So the Knicks at this point, I guess, kind of feeling themselves a big win, and in essence, shut down Jordan. Now, the Knicks' big-time mistake actually came from Mark Jackson, their star point guard, late in the fourth quarter, kind of mocking MJ, stuck out his tongue. Something for MJ he would not take lightly.
No, he'll take this personal.
When you get to this point in the playoffs, motivation is a major ingredient.
Wait, was this Game 3 now?
He would not take lightly.
Game 3, okay, yeah. Jordan can switch strategies at any point. Not a good idea to talk trash, especially when the series is tied 1-1. But some people got to learn the hard way.
To this point in the playoffs, motivation is a major ingredient. And this morning, Doug Collins was taking no chances with Michael Jordan. He showed him a piece of tape from Thursday night's game, a game in which Jordan struggled. Mark Jackson made a steal, and when he came back down, stuck his tongue out a la Michael Jordan. He was mimicking him. He said, "You shouldn't do that to Michael Jordan."
What possessed you to do that man's signature move?
Oh, man, just young and dumb. I had a moment, man.
You had a moment?
I had a moment.
Did you realize who that was?
Yes, but I thought we had every answer because we were rolling. Mistake. Huge mistake.
Against the Portland Trailblazers, and he was on the court and brought him back from a big deficit to win. Short.
Yeah, still that. Still that, mofo.
Just marvel at this.
Great feed.
Pass. Of course, the foul trouble with the two Bulls won't mean anything.
I expect MJ to, because he had, 15 last game? And now Mark Jackson messed with his head. I expect MJ to have about 40 this game. Let's see what happens. What a shot, by the way. What an asshole I am for interrupting that shot.
Foul trouble with the two Bulls won't mean anything the way this score is going. 40 points.
No way. 40 on the dot. Holy crap. 15 rebounds and 9 assists, too. He almost had a 40-point triple-double. Mark Jackson, you done messed up, bro. You done messed up. Guys, I swear I didn't know this. I figured 40. I just figured 40. It's just what MJ does when he gets mad. But the 15 rebounds and a 9 assists, forget about it. Oh, man. Mark Jackson, what have you done?
Career high playoff, 15 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 steals.
MJ in the first half of Game 3 versus the Knicks, he came out blazing on fire. The first half, 23 points, 6 dimes, Chicago up by 20.
How the hell the guy who's taking the most shots is also getting the most rebounds? How does that happen?
MJ in the first half for the first time, really all series, was aggressive from the jump, looking for a shot, and looking to score first and foremost.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to piss him off, then he's not going to look to pass first anymore. He's going to look to just rip your head off now.
And look, for the Knicks defense, I mean, they're still playing hard,
that's
still
crazy.
trapping,
Triple.
giving Jordan all he can deal with. And watching some of these traps, I mean, it's exhausting watching it 40 years later. MJ, the primary ball handler, scorer, passer, and their lead on the defensive end.
Personal foul. Ball stripped away by Oakley. Joel saved his
2 steals, 3 steals.
The Knicks today, their lack of offense from the small forward position, which has served them so well. Get into Ewing. Working on Porzingis. It's stripped away by Jordan. This afternoon, Wilkins shooting over Jordan. Jordan gets a piece
so
of it.
you get 40 points, 15 rebounds, whatever assists, and he's doing this on the defensive end.
We'll have a jump ball.
The burden Jordan was carrying at this point, I mean, it was massive. And the most notable thing from Game 3 wasn't Jordan's 40 points, 15 boards, or even his 6 steals. The most notable thing in this game is that Jordan, in the second half, actually got hurt, aggravating a groin injury he dealt with all season.
And the trainers and the security people were getting him downstairs very quickly. He aggravated his groin. He kept an ice pack on it when he came out of the ball game until the end of the game. They were helping him off, and he was limping badly. They say it's just an aggravated groin muscle, but they want to get him downstairs and look at it as quickly as possible. Dick?
Oh, no!
We suck again.
So Jordan heading
You
into
can
Game
do
4,
it.
of course, not 100% healthy and really far from it. And to
Wow. Yep. Boston fell off that year. Milwaukee beat Atlanta. I guess that's why Doc was commentating. New York beat Philly. Sorry, Chuck. Okay. And yeah, just to show you guys, the Bulls beating Cleveland was an upset. The Knicks are the number 2 seed. So right now, the number 6 seed Bulls are going against the number 2 seed Knicks. Who was the one? Detroit. Yeah, of course.
To make matters worse, this Game 4 in Chicago, it was a back-to-back playoff game. Yes, you heard that right, the Bulls in '89 played a back-to-back playoff game, and Jordan, he played injured.
Yeah.
Now, the other bit of news, Michael Jordan will play. Now, how effective Jordan will be still remains the big question this
Don't
afternoon.
matter. Go out there and help your team.
A groin muscle in the second quarter yesterday and limped off the court after the game, playing a lot. Now, the question is, how will he be? Well, there was a big crowd around the entrance into Chicago Stadium when he arrived earlier today in a fancy fashion. Tim Brand talked to him.
Yeah, MJ's still driving himself. Like, he don't give a damn. He's going to go out there and help his team. That's a man.
Condition, Michael. How do you feel?
I feel a lot better. I got treatment all day yesterday and all evening, and it's still sore. I know I'm gonna have to play with this sore, but I'm gonna play.
He was hurting a little bit yesterday, and this morning, of course, is still aching a little bit, but I think he'll do okay.
Has he always been able to withstand pain like this?
Always have. When he's really involved and wants to win and participate, he will go 150% above and more. He'll give whatever it takes.
I love that woman. I love this woman. She is so awesome. That's MJ's mom, by the way. She's still alive and kicking. And I don't know. It's probably because me watching like Come Fly With Me so much as a kid. Like I just have like a warm feeling in my heart every time I see her. By the way, she did mention it. When MJ is hurt or something is going on with him, he gives it 150%. Mom knows. And that's what I'm expecting here in Game 4. So the Bulls are up 2-1. And yeah, Game 4 with a injured an aggravated groin muscle. I fully expect MJ to 100% deliver on this game. No excuses.
Like Jordan's mom said right there, his ability to overcome injuries, sickness, or just really any obstacle, it's one of the rare things about Michael Jordan that separates him from all the great athletes in American sports history. And this Game 4 versus the Knicks, MJ didn't just play hurt, he played phenomenal while being hurt.
Because I grew up watching MJ. Oh my God, no way. 46, 10, and 6. Okay. You did more than deliver. I had the same attitude when I was playing too, because of Michael Jordan. If I was sick or injured, I expected myself to play better. But I think part of it was because I don't feel that burden. I am sick or I am injured. So I'm not like, it's like I expected out of myself, but I didn't. It was like, you know what? I'm here. I did half of the job. Now let's just see what we can get done. And like alleviating that pressure, I think makes the game come easier sometimes. You know, I would do the same as a musician too. I would like intentionally botch the first couple of notes on a recording and then go, cool, got that out of my system. Now let's do this for real.
As in this game, had 47 points on nearly 70% shooting.
70%.
And looking at the fourth quarter, if that wasn't impressive enough, MJ in the fourth quarter
5 or 6
took over yet again, having 18 points, 2 assists, only missing 1 field goal.
Crazy.
And of course, those fourth quarter numbers, they are fantastic, but again, don't do Jordan justice. As looking at the fourth quarter, Chicago up by 2, 81-79. Jordan from that point on was score 18 the Bulls, next 24 points, outscoring New York by himself 18-14. And of course, per usual, added in dagger shot after dagger shot.
They do an excellent job on him when he gets down inside of the lane area. Jordan.
Oh man, yeah. The only thing better than a healthy Jordan
who says he won't
is a not healthy
the Bulls
Jordan.
Are eliminated. You can't even tell that he high percentage foul shooters. 3 on the shot clock. Here's Jordan.
Bang. Yeah,
Michael Jordan
that'll kill it.
Scored 11 of the Bulls' last 13 points, including this one to give them a 10-point lead. 45 in the game for Jordan, who limped into Chicago Stadium.
Yeah, buddy.
This Game 4 from Jordan, I mean, it's stuff of a legend. And you can really argue Jordan at this point, the best game of his career in the postseason.
What a feed.
Of course, given the circumstances, being up 2-1, being hurt, and of course, it being Mother's Day. And looking ahead to Game 5 back in the Garden,
valuable player
I mean,
in
this
the
game for the Bulls, they gave a valiant effort.
Hold up,
but it
what
was
I missed there. Points scored. Okay, so 108 to 101. Field goal percentage, 49 to 44. Free throws, okay.
Game 5 back in the Garden. I mean, this game for the Bulls, they gave a valiant effort, but it was just too much to overcome. Jordan, the first quarter, he was on fire. 12 points off the bat, playing fantastic. The Bulls at halftime, though, down by 3 points. The second half, it was not much better. The Knicks, a massive run to open the quarter, then in the fourth quarter, took about a 20-point lead. And Jordan, the fourth quarter, a valiant effort, had 17 points. The Bulls won a pretty lengthy run. But the Knicks in the end pulled it out Patrick Ewing, having some big-time clutch plays.
Had the ball, he had position into Patrick in the paint.
Nice. Yeah, Patrick's a dude who doesn't get enough recognition. Look at that hustle. Look at that sacrifice.
So, of course, Pat Ewing right there on the defensive end and offensive end came up big for the Knicks like a superstar should. And looking at Game 6 back in Chicago, for Jordan the Bull specifically, I mean, the biggest game in over a decade for the franchise, the biggest game of Jordan's career. And looking at this game in the first half, I mean, it was tight from the start. MJ the first half, 17 points, leading all scorers. The Knicks, a narrow 2-point lead. Now, the third quarter, intensity ratcheted up about 5 notches. I mean, it got very, very chippy. Gerald Wilkins and Jordan kind of going at it, jawing. Brad Sellers and Oakley. But the worst of all was Scottie Pippen. Pippen in this game in the third quarter actually threw a punch at Kenny Skywalker. And of course, you throw a punch, automatic ejection.
Both of them throwing punches. They're both going to be ejected. They should be.
Pippen and Walker as Chuck defined for you right down in front of Chuck.
What the hell were you thinking?
Pippen 19 points and 4 rebounds.
Oh, he took it a little too far.
Now, luckily for Jordan and the Bulls at this point, they had a 7-point lead, a little bit of cushion. But the Knicks in the fourth quarter, ever so slowly would chip away the lead. To under 2 minutes left, it was tied, 103-103. And MJ from there on out was absolutely phenomenal in the clutch.
Yeah, you lost your number 2 guy.
A good move with the left hand, so they
There you go.
basically
There you go.
neutralized.
It's in the hands of Jordan.
This
44
is the guy
seconds.
You want to force him to give it up. You don't want him to
There
get a
you
wide
go.
open chance. Hoping that they'll come out
5
with
for
a
6
1 of 2
for the
situation
line.
from the line with Jordan.
6 for 7. 7 for 8.
He should come out of this at least with
8
1
for
of the
9.
2.
There you go. That's my dog. 9 for 10. 90%.
We spent a lot of time on my free throws.
10 for 11.
The Bulls don't want to have the same
Good Lord.
problem and foul. Jordan
They just kept hacking him, huh? Oh, crap. Ooh. Did he just clank that off the board like LeBron? I think so.
So stopping it right there, Jordan in the final minute and 30, from the line, a perfect 8 of 8. And think about this, if Jordan, like Game 4 versus Cleveland, misses one of those shots, the Bulls most likely lose the game and head back to New York without Scottie Pippen, who'd be suspended.
Oh.
MJ's free throws in the fourth quarter, they were crucial and vital to the Bulls, making their first East Finals in over a decade.
Wait, so does that mean Game 1 of the Detroit series and the conference finals coming up? They did it without Pip? Let's find out. Game 6.
And also one thing I do want to highlight, like Game 5 versus Cleveland, Jordan in the clutch made the right play, the winning play, kicking it out to John Paxson for an open jumper.
Yeah, I saw that.
The reason that I feel LeBron is the GOAT is because during pressure times, he still makes the actual right decision.
Explain. Do it. Yeah.
When looking at 8-9 Jordan versus the Cavaliers and the Knicks, I mean, these two series eerily similar. MJ hitting big-time game-winning shots at the line and from the field, but also making the correct reads and finding his teammates if they were open. Also, one parallel in both these series is that Jordan the first 2 games, had some nice games. But the second half of the series, Jordan took it up about 5 notches. And look at this Knicks series, after that 15-point dud in MSG, game 3 through 6, 41.3 points, nearly 10 boards, 9 assists, 3 steals on absurd shooting. I mean, that right there, that's all-time great offensive numbers, offensive production. But keep this in mind, MJ in this series was the focus of the entire Knicks defense, who was pressing, trapping every single game. And on top of that, who was MJ guarding? Mark Jackson, the opposing team's all-star point guard. And also versus Cleveland, who was MJ guarding? Ron Harper, their best wing scorer.
Court on the dribble of Harper. Harper on the left wing against Jordan. Stops. Pivots. Holds. Turns.
Good D, man.
Jordan shaking, baking, fading away on that shot. Harper must apply the defense to him.
All of Chicago's turnovers, as a matter of fact. He got in the passing lane there.
When looking at both these series versus the Knicks and Cavaliers, I mean, Jordan in these series, the best scorer on the Bulls by a mile, the best passer,
best
defender, in the fourth quarter, asked to really do
best
everything.
Clutch player.
This
How about just the best
Bulls
player in the world, hands down? All right. Yeah, now, okay, so let's see. Let's see if Pippen was still suspended.
Team making the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, it was a Cinderella run, led by Jordan, carried by Jordan. As looking at both those series, Jordan not once had a single teammate average above 15 points per game. I believe it. To see how rare that is in NBA history, only 4 teams ever in the conference finals without a single teammate averaging above 15 points per game in either
I'm
the first.
surprised about Karl Malone in '98. Stockton wasn't getting 15 at that point, huh? Or Hornacek for that matter. 09 LeBron. 09. That was a team. Was that the team with Shaq? I think that was when he had Shaq.
2 rounds. Those players being 8-9 Jordan, 98 Karl Malone, 99 Reggie Miller, and 09 LeBron James.
LeBron got Shaq right after the Suns. Shaq was still getting like 20 points a game for the Suns easily, but he had a good facilitator with Steve Nash feeding him the ball. How is he not getting 15 points a game with LeBron facilitating? Interesting, huh? Interesting from a pass-first guy, supposedly.
And looking at those teams, their path to conference finals, of course, offensive teammate help wasn't their strong suit. but the Bulls' path to the conference finals also extremely tough. Not only a 6th seed, but the underdog in both their first 2-round series. The 09 Cavs, 98 Jazz, and 99 Pacers can't say that. Also, one thing those teams can't say is they face the bad boy Pistons, who at this point, they're one of the best teams of all time.
Yeah, this just ain't fair. This just isn't fair.
And of course, the eventual champions. Detroit versus the Bulls at this point, a perfect 7-0 on the season, 9 straight wins versus Chicago. At home, 25 straight wins, and the year cracked 60. And look at their overall roster 1 through 8. I mean, as much talent as you could find in any all-time great team. Of course, Isaiah, Joe Dumars, also Mark Aguirre, Vinnie Johnson, Bill Laimbeer, and then Dennis Rodman off the bench. If that wasn't enough, Hall of Fame coach Chuck Daly, the eventual coach of the Dream Team.
Yeah, all defensive team, Dennis Rodman coming off the bench. How do you like that? Good luck beating that team.
For Chicago, Detroit, I mean, their defensive prowess, it was at all-time great levels. And of course, the target of all this ire was indeed Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Dennis, your thoughts about Chicago, and I guess in the same breath, you got to talk about Michael Jordan.
Oh, yeah, he is the key factor on that team. And you got to realize, if you want to stop Chicago, you got to stop Michael Jordan.
Because he's handling the ball at the top now,
he's the head of the
does
stake.
It make it more difficult for you guys to defend him and to find ways to stop him?
Well, we had a scheme last year that we put together and tried it early this year, was successful. When he moved to the point, it changed. We became confused at trying to do it the other way. You've got to play him more straight up because there's not a lot of help, and it does make it a little bit more difficult for your defense.
So looking at Game 1 in Detroit, the Bulls, I mean, they came out on fire. Jordan in the first quarter, 14 points, just slicing the defense up. The Bulls in the first half, they had a 20-point lead. And by the end of the second quarter, it was still at 60.
I'm seeing Pippen out there. I'm a little confused about that.
Now, fast forward to the fourth quarter, Detroit, like many Bulls teams do in the 80s, they blew this lead slowly but surely. And Jordan's play in the fourth quarter, while he wasn't all-time great fantastic, still had 10 points, was pretty serviceable. And of course, late in the game, some big-time free throws to hand Chicago a massive Game 1 victory.
Nice.
30 points.
So that right there for the Bulls, a big-time Game 1 victory. And
Yeah,
the third
that is a
round
big
Chicago, an upset as the underdogs in a Game 1. And looking at those teams at home, Detroit, Cleveland, and New York, they had a combined record of 109-14 at home. And of course, the Bulls beat them all in Game 1 in consecutive series. And looking
that's
ahead to
hardcore
games,
right there. You're only gonna drop 4 games at home the entire season, and Cleveland. Oh man, yeah, they had to go through both of these teams, the Knicks and the Cavs, in the playoffs, and they had home court advantage over the Bulls. So that plays a big factor as well.
in Detroit, I mean, it's hard to imagine this Pistons team would lose 2 straight at home. And in Game 2, the Bulls put up a very good fight. It was close at halftime. In the third quarter, heading to the fourth quarter, they unraveled bit by bit.
Beer knocks it away. And now Laimbeer and Pippen start to have a go.
When this young Bulls team played the Pistons, it wasn't just a physical battle, but also a mental battle. And Chicago at this point as a team, they just didn't have the mental toughness, I guess the mental fortitude, to overcome their urge of fighting players and just getting in these brawls. It happened in 88 and also in Game 2 in 89.
And this was discussed a lot in The Last Dance, is they had to get mentally tougher and not fall for the bait, basically. You gotta get in control of your emotions, because that's what they want. It's almost like the Detroit Pistons were, like they were trolling, you know, to use modern terms. They were trolling the Bulls, waiting to get a reaction, and then pouncing on that reaction. But the Bulls couldn't overcome this until they figured it out and just stayed quiet and just killed. You know, they became basically silent assassins.
And as bad as the Bulls unraveling was, the worst part of this game for Chicago was Pippen late in the ball game, hurting his ankle and leaving in the fourth quarter.
That will be
Damn, so
to the Chicago Bulls' chances. There you see Scotty going off the court, limping on that foot.
That could be the big story of this night.
Now, the big story for the Chicago Bulls is their starting forward, Scottie Pippen, an important man. He has an injured foot, did not practice yesterday, but will start and play. For more on that, let's join our third partner, Pat O'Brien. Pat?
All right, Dick, thank you very much. In fact, the most talked about foot in Chicago, if not the history of the game this week, has been Scottie Pippen's. It started as an arch injury, which is right about here. For the last few days, it's moved up into the toe area. Now, he told me just seconds ago that it still has a little bit of pain. He likens it to like a sprained toe or a stub toe, but he says he'll play. As Dick said, he will start. The question is, can he run on it? He hasn't really run on this thing. He didn't practice yesterday, so that's what they'll be watching. Dr. Horace Grant, who says he thinks he does indeed have the flu. He's very weak, and he says he's kind of sick today. So we'll see how that goes. Let's go back.
So we got Pippen with the foot. We got Horace Grant with the flu. It's like Jordan's out there all by himself again. It might be like, it might as well be 1986 all over again. Damn.
Back to you.
So Pippen, of course, in Game 3, not really 100% healthy, a really bad ankle, and also Horace Grant had the flu. That's MJ's two best teammates offensively, and debatably defensively. Under the weather, not healthy, just not 100%. And to compound how bad that was, Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, and John Paxson all had 3 fouls by the mid-second quarter. MJ in the first half of Game 3, a pivotal Game 3, had 22 of the Bulls' 45 points, absolutely carrying them and keeping their head above water. And fast forward to the fourth quarter of the Pistons, that lead ballooned to a whopping 14 points. Now from that point on, the Pistons, they would score 11 points to close the game out. Jordan by himself would score 18,
what else can you do?
Including numerous clutch baskets and eventually the game-winning shot.
What else can a man do?
Pistons led by as many as 14. Bulls cut it to 4. Jordan comes in. 9 on the clock. Jordan again. Under a minute now, and 9 on the shot clock. Jordan pumps and scores. How did he do that? Isaiah and Jordan. Who else should be in the middle of the center stage here?
Watch the high pick and roll.
Ooh, was that a moving screen?
Watch the high pick and roll.
Oh, yeah, he leaned in. Yep. And you can see his leg, too. Yep. Good call, ref. He could have tripped him.
There it is. Rodman is on him, one-on-one. 5 seconds to go. Jordan off the glass.
Yep.
So that shot by Jordan right there, that's an iconic moment, an historic moment, and once again, another big-time game-winning shot in the 89 playoffs.
Yes, it is.
And to add some very important context, Detroit's fourth quarter defense at this point, they were only allowing 20 points per game. At this point in league history, that was the lowest of all time. And MJ in the fourth quarter, the final 8 minutes, had 18 points. That's absolutely mind-boggling.
And wow, 46, 7, and 5, guys. Oh, man. It's crazy to me still that, you know, people who don't know, people who weren't watching, will say, don't compare Jordan losing in these playoffs in his early career to LeBron choking. Guys, he never choked. MJ always delivered from his rookie season on. He always delivered. Sometimes his team just wasn't good enough to get to the championship. That's all it is. But him, he always did his job. He always delivered every single game, every single series. It was never on him. And that's what's crazy. I could never say a playoff series was blown because MJ stunk it up. And I could say that about pretty much every other player I like, including Magic Johnson, including Kobe Bryant. It's just incredible. It's incredible to me. He's still pulling this crap off. 46, 7, and 5. And he hit the game winner.
Jordan's overall stats, of course, drop 46 was phenomenal, highly efficient. But the more important stuff, the context of this game, makes that 46 that much more impressive.
Wow.
As of course Pippen, he was hobbled, Grant was sick, and the entire team outside of Jordan wasn't
Hold on. Okay, field goal percentage on the perimeter. Detroit was killing them with 48%. The Bulls sucked. 25%. So that was probably a lot of the attempted assists by MJ, passing out to the perimeter for an open guy, but it was clanks. Grant, Pippen, oh my God, they had a total of 6 points, guys. And rebounding, yeah, Detroit destroyed the Bulls. Crazy how they won this game. You can only credit one person at this point. That's MJ, because his two biggest support players got 6 points, and nobody was hitting the perimeter shots. Sorry, guys. The cold is kind of setting in here.
No trouble. Now, this 46-point game from Jordan is kind of a double-edged sword. As yes, Jordan playing fantastic, an all-time great game. But Jordan this game was almost too great.
Are you doing anything special today with Jordan?
Yeah, we are playing him entirely different today, more double teams in different positions, and we're much more aggressive. That's why we have Rodman and Sally who can rotate, and we're getting some good double teams. I hope we can keep it up.
Their defense has been magnificent. They limited Chicago to only 13 points in the second quarter, and Michael Jordan, who did not score in the period, has gone 17 minutes without a point, and that is gigantic.
So you'll see how quickly Detroit will come for the double. They have the one man. Here comes Isaiah. They're forcing, but notice how Jordan takes his time and picks out the three man.
He's used to a double
Game
now.
4 Bulls
You guys
versus
remember
Pistons.
in the first or second video when it was going through the Boston series, when he had to figure out how to deal with these double teams and these traps? He's come a long way. He's so composed now. Well, back then he was very reactionary. He was young. But he's figured this out like it's nothing now. He doesn't get startled with a double.
It's one of the most physical games, intense games I've ever watched. And it's not just hard fouling, cheap shots, dirty plays. The Pistons defense, they're flying around, attached to Jordan everywhere he goes. And look at their defensive wings, defensive guards.
Ooh,
Joe
good block.
Dumars, I mean, him by himself, a premier defender. But off the bench, you have Dennis Rodman, who legit can guard 1 through 5.
For real.
And think about this. If you get past Dumars, get past Rodman, who's behind that? Someone like Isaiah, John Sally, and at the rim, Bill Laimbeer or Rick Mahorn. The Pistons defense had not 1, not 2, but 3 lines of defense.
Not 1, not 2. Yep.
Pippen wide open for 3. They were on an 11-2 run, and now Detroit is on a 9-1.
See, they're groping for an offensive set that's...
What I like about Jordan, he's not forcing it, even though he's not had a lot of shots.
Damn, man, that
and points
defense
in
is
this game.
sick.
And looking at Game 4 of the first quarter compared to the next 3 quarters, I mean, Jordan after the first quarter was stifled and shut down. The first 7 minutes, this guy, 9 points, 2 assists, 3 or 4 shooting. At that point, Jordan, I mean, it's typical Jordan, on pace for 40. But the second quarter, third quarter, and even the fourth quarter in a blowout, the Pistons stifled Jordan at every single turn. Like the 88 playoffs versus Detroit, the Bulls' big-time problem, if Jordan was locked down, getting double-teamed, triple-teamed, and his teammates weren't coming through, the offense would just stall out and not do anything.
Yeah. If the rest of his team wasn't hitting those open jumpers, it's over. It's over.
Quarter, that's exactly what happened. Now, looking at Game 5 in Detroit, this game definitively one of the most bizarre Jordan games of his entire playoff career. And looking at just the 80s, the games we've covered, I'd say the worst game Jordan's ever had in the postseason.
Oh, God.
As looking at this game, Jordan took a measly 8 shots. Yes, you heard that right. Michael Jordan took 8 shots in a playoff game.
Want to be a little more specific? There's good and there's not good. This is not good.
And looking at MJ in the fourth quarter, we want to talk MJ's worst quarters of his career. This one tops the list
guys.
by a mile.
I mean, every time I look, we're just seeing MJ get whacked. But even this.
MJ's worst quarters of his career.
How is this okay? Is that Sally? Come on.
Tops the list by a mile. During the fourth quarter, Game 5 in Detroit, had a measly 1 point. 1 point and 1 shot attempt. And again, watching all these possessions, I mean, yes, Jordan technically making the right basketball play. But if you're a superstar player, can score 40, 50 points, at some point, you got to be aggressive takeover and force it a little bit.
Jordan.
So he reverted to what he was doing in the beginning of the playoffs. The first couple of games, or the first game against Cleveland.
He's got to shoot the ball.
Hodges for three.
It looks like this was a strategy, though.
25, 20, 19, but they've got
yeah, this is looking like a strategy. Because, yeah, these guys are open. He's hitting the open guy. But I'm with you, Uncut. Yeah, he needed to take over. But this is looking like a coach and player strategy between him and Doug. Like, just hit the open guy. Because these guys are wide open.
And also, one thing I do want to highlight, Detroit in this Game 5 in the fourth quarter, the team that beat Chicago was all bench players. Isaiah, Lambeer, and Dumarsh most of the quarter, they were on the bench. What that shows about the Pistons, they weren't just 1 through 5, they were like 1 through 8, a solid 1 through 8. And someone like Vinnie Johnson, a non-All-Star, non-Hall of Famer, could win you a game in the East Finals with Isaiah Thomas on the bench. That's how good Detroit was and how deep they were. So looking at Game 6 in Chicago, of course, face elimination of the Bulls, needed a big game from Jordan. Couldn't
Good
be
Lord,
as
yeah,
passive.
come on. Yeah. This is why MJ had to get into the gym and start lifting some weights. Was just because of this. And you better believe he was exhausted by the end of this, getting hit like 40, 50 times a game like this. He's not a boxer.
As kind of deferential as he was in Game 5 in Detroit. And Jordan's credit, bounced back in a big way, shot 26 times. Now, the problem this game was in the first possession, as Scottie Pippen got hit in the face by Bill Lambeer.
In the center of your screen, he's going up, and then he takes the elbow as Lambeer comes down from that rebound. He catches him with the left elbow right in the face.
And Bill Lambeer right there, is that a dirty play? I mean, tough to really say looking back in hindsight. But of course, Pippen in this game got injured, would not return after 30 seconds of game.
I mean, that one actually looked kind of natural, like a natural basketball play. But it is Bill Lambeer, and his reputation precedes him. So you always have to question that with Bill.
And you got to give Jordan some credit. After Pippen went down, it was a one-man show for about 5 straight minutes. And the Bulls had a 12-point lead with Jordan, having 12 points and 5 dimes.
Sellers forces the turnover to Jordan. Open court, 2-on-1. Here it is.
Well, Detroit will calm you down. They'll work their plays. Steal.
Oh, yeah.
He kept it in
That's where this one
Here
comes.
it is again.
That's awesome.
Now, that initial adrenaline boost, it would wear off very, very fast, as once Jordan headed to the bench at a lead, all but evaporated. And looking to the fourth quarter, Detroit, I mean, up by 10 points, a healthy margin. Jordan did his best to start the fourth quarter, but it simply wasn't enough. And looking at Jordan's overall play in this series, I mean, for really any superstar not named Jordan, this is a fantastic series. Nearly 30 points above 45% shooting, 6 dimes,
I mean,
and 6
still
goals.
going against the peak of the bad boy Pistons, these are fantastic numbers. Even the 46%. That's hard to do, man. When you have that kind of intense defense thrown at you. Overall, he still played great. He had one bad game though.
For your average superstar, even some all-time great legends, that's a phenomenal series. For 89 Jordan, it's simply not enough. And if you want to break this series down, first 3 games versus the last 3 games, pre-Jordan rules versus post-Jordan rules, I mean, the split is noticeable. During the first half, it's like typical 89 Jordan. The second half of the series, games 3 through 6, Jordan was a shell of himself.
And you got to understand, with the Jordan rules, which means anytime he gets past the first line of defense and he starts heading towards the basket, you put him on the ground. And as you've seen with all these highlights, they literally hit him in the head, slapped him in the face, threw him on the ground, tripped him, did whatever they could, tackle him in the air, whatever it took. Yeah, I'd expect his numbers to go down. Now, if he never overcame this, then this would be a failure of a story. But we all know that he does overcome this. It just didn't happen right at this moment because this was new. No one has seen this. This was a brand new defensive scheme, the Jordan rules. And it was a pretty freaking violent defensive scheme they came up with. So, yeah. Evil but brilliant. I'll say that. It was evil but brilliant. It did work. But all that did was actually make MJ better and tougher.
Intimidate and dominate. And then on the bottom in big capital letters it says, follow the Jordan
there it
rules.
is.
And I said, what are the Jordan rules? They said simply, when he goes to the bathroom, we all go with him.
Now, that Game 6 loss in Chicago, of course,
Wow.
a tough loss, a bitter way to end your season. But looking at Jordan's playoff run, one of the best runs of all time, and for Jordan's 9 championship years, definitively the best. As Jordan's run showcased the entire arsenal. Some games a 30-point triple-double, other games 40 points, 5 steals, and like versus the Cavs and Pistons, came through with big-time
Yeah, he was doing whatever he had to do to win.
I mean, when looking at Jordan's all-around offensive game this run, he was a solid 34-7-7. If you look through NBA history at 37-7 runs for a player to make it past the first round, here's your list. Oscar Robertson, Jordan, LeBron, and Jokic. Now, just like that list earlier, Oscar, LeBron, Jokic held in high regard as great all-around offensive players and great passers, which of course they are. So looking at Jordan being in that elite company, what does that tell us about him as an individual basketball player? What it tells me is that Jordan, his production, overall stats, it adapted to the team, the system, and the coach who was in place. Case in point, look at 85 versus the Bucks. That series, he ran point guard, averaged 9 dimes per game. Those 2 series versus Boston, 86-87, they told Jordan, be a score-first player, a go-getter. What did he do? Damn near average 40 points per game in both those series. 88 versus Cleveland and Detroit, they told Jordan, go score 40 and play phenomenal defense. And of course, did just that. Now 89, kind of the combination of all those series into one. As Jordan had to score 35-40 points for the Bulls to even be competitive in the first place. But also, be the point guard, the tip of the spear on defense, guard Isaiah Thomas, Ron Harper, even a Mark Jackson, and also, in the fourth quarter, take over, win these games for us.
Yeah, it looks like he had so much responsibility, and he was able to maintain it up until the point where he was literally just getting beat, like physically beat down by the Pistons. Then it's just like, and then you got Pippen going down and all that crap. How much can you expect one person to do? He was doing it as long as the game was fair. If the game was fair, he might have beat the Pistons. But they switched up the defensive scheme, started pounding him, beating him down physically and exhausting him. And then, when your responsibility is to be the facilitator, a rebounder, the leading scorer, the best defensive player on the team, man, eventually it's just too much. And that proved to be too much, which means the following year, Pippen, Grant, Pax, they all need to step up their game. And, what happens?
Simply put, 89 Jordan was asked to do everything. And when given that task, that responsibility, he came through in a big
Great minds
time
think
way.
alike, Uncut.
And for a lot of the great point guards in NBA history, guys like Stockton, and Jason Kidd, especially Magic, their main goal objective, not just to win the game, but make their teammates better. And looking at Jordan running the point, his biggest impact was in the Bulls' outside shooting. As of course, Jordan running the point, got all the attention, all the double teams, and guys like Paxson, Craig Hodges, even as Scottie Pippen, got wide open looks, especially from deep. And comparing the entire Bulls team with Jordan not at point guard versus at point guard, these stats are drastically different. 3-pointers taken with non-point guard MJ, only 6.4, compared to with a ridiculous 12.2. Also, that percentage bumped up nearly 5%. And looking at someone like Greg Hodges, the Bulls' best shooter at the time, this dude benefited from Jordan at the point tremendously. As looking at Craig's numbers, without MJ at the point, 3.1 threes per game. With MJ at the point, 5.0. And look at that percentage. 36% non-point guard MJ, with MJ at point guard, 45.
Yeah, if it wasn't for his desire for winning over everything else, MJ could have gone down as the greatest point guard in NBA history. Easily. In my opinion, that is. because not only would he be getting his 10 to 15 assists per game or whatever, he'd also be getting his 30 to 40 points a game and then destroying it on a defensive end and getting rebounds. He could have done it, but he learned this was too much. This is too much for one man to get to the finish line. You can win a buttload of regular season games and get far in the playoffs, but all it takes is one defensive scheme to just shut you down, and then the rest of the team is screwed at that point. So it's just too much weight to go on one man's shoulders in order to win. But if he was just about legacy and stats, which he wasn't, he would have stayed point guard for sure.
For Scottie Pippen, a very similar bump. Non-MJ point guard games, 0.9 threes per game at 23.1%. With MJ at the point, 2.5 per game, more than doubled in the percentage.
Yeah,
at
it's
38.
funny. People just shoot a lot better when they're wide open, don't they? We saw a lot of those. Pippen shooting a wide open three, Pax, Craig Hodges, like Uncut saying here.
0.3%. 89 Pippen, 89 Craig Hodges. They ranked first and second in total made threes for the entire postseason. And why is that? Because of Michael Jordan running the point. Now, when discussing passing and playmaking, being a great facilitator, of course the eye test is king. Watching the games comes first and foremost. But for a lot of fans nowadays, even looking at games 30, 40 years ago, the stats play a big part in how we judge these players. And looking at Jordan 89, assist numbers, they were great, fantastic. The thing is, they were actually better than recorded. For example, look at Game 5 versus Cleveland. Jordan, on record officially, had 6 dimes. Now, based off my count, actually had 7.
And he's standing still. Here's Cartwright again with a familiar shot. A lot of trouble getting that entry pass in, and Grant follows.
Playing 2 men now, Jordan and Cartwright. Cartwright score. Jordan has not handled the ball.
Easy 4.
Coming up the floor that much.
Here's a 3-point attempt that has given up a
5.
lead to the Cavaliers. Porzingis hits Jordan.
Easy 6.
Leaves it for Hodges. Jordan now funneled to the middle, and Scottie
Easy
Pippen
7.
fires a 3.
Yeah.
The series versus the Knicks, nearly identical. Game 2 in the Garden, Jordan officially only had 3 assists. But according to me, he had 4.
Michael hooks it back out to Pippen. He'll try from the same spot.
So they're doing the opposite of that's 2. They're doing the opposite of what they do with LeBron. They give LeBron extra assists and rebounds, and they were taking him away from MJ.
Look at the Detroit series, the exact same trend. Game 2 officially only had 4. But watching the games, Jordan very clearly had 6.
Jordan couldn't get a
easy.
shot away. Nobody near.
See, he got 2 easy baskets inside. That'll do wonders for your outside shooting.
Oh, that's the one. They didn't count that back then. Yeah, they wouldn't count that back then. Scottie took 2 dribbles. Nowadays, they would count that. All right, so that's a 2. Oh, they're probably not going to count that one.
From 8 and a
Jordan. Yep, that's a 3.
Pass. Cartwright and a foul. Dumars 73. Jordan.
Yep, that's a 4.
Corzine from 18.
Okay, I hate to say it, Uncut, but back then, I think that was legit. You put the ball on the ground, you're probably not going to get an assist. You know what I mean? Once the pass is out there, it's got to be a catch and shoot or a catch in transition heading towards the basket, like a 1-2 step, and then a lay-in or a dunk. They'll count that. But if you put the ball on the ground and you start dribbling, no assist. Nowadays, you could dribble like 4 or 5 times and they'll still give you an assist. But it's pretty lame nowadays. Back then, you literally needed to spoon feed somebody in order to get that stat. But I was with you on the other 2 series, by the way. The other 2 series, 100%. This one, yeah, I would have given that 4. In 89, that is. Nowadays, that would have been an easy 6.
Proof Jordan was getting shortchanged on assists. And looking at the entire run, out of the 17 games, there were 7 games where Jordan didn't get the full credit for all the assists he had. And if you count the non-credited assists, Jordan's average bumps up from 7.6 to 8.1. And look, that discrepancy being 0.5, taking Jordan from 7.5 to 8.1, That's actually a pretty big deal, especially historically.
I mean, nowadays with the way it's officiated and the scorekeeping is, he'd probably get like 11 assists per game, just in these series alone. Because, yeah, like I said, you could drop the ball to somebody in the post and they can make like 4 or 5 dribbles, turn around, jumper, and they're still giving you the assist nowadays.
If you debate basketball nowadays, I mean, stats, they are king. Averaging 7 assists versus 8, 6 versus 7, 5 versus 4. Nowadays, fans make that a monumental deal. So Jordan being shortchanged on assists, in all reality, it is a big deal.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived.
And looking past Jordan's assist numbers, I want to debunk one big narrative about Jordan and his overall career. And that's that MJ couldn't carry a team or elevate players in the postseason. Looking at this run, Jordan definitively did both those things. As in the 8-9 playoffs, scored a ridiculous 591 points. All time, that ranks 33rd, which is not great. But here's the catch. The 32 players ahead of him, they played more games, and all those runs made the NBA Finals. Michael Jordan 8-9, the most points ever scored in a non-finals playoff run. That's pretty important. It is bittersweet, but also very, very important. And that big distinction, making the finals versus not making the finals, has a lot of sway in perception of how hard a player actually carries a team in the postseason. For example, guys like 01 Iverson, 07 LeBron James, they're held up as some of the greatest carry jobs of all time. But looking at 8-9 Jordan, I would argue personally better than both those players in regards to carrying, overall production in the conference.
Yeah, you made a hell of a case. That, I mean, and it's obvious too. If anybody actually watches this video, Jordan elevated his entire team. He just couldn't elevate them to the point to beat the champions that year. Not this year, but eventually, yes. But yeah, he definitely improved. He made his whole team better. This entire playoffs, easily. Got them open shots, increased their shooting percentage because of it, got them more involved, got them scoring the ball more. You name it.
As looking at those three runs, 01 Iverson, 07 LeBron James, 8-9 Jordan. In the Eastern Conference, Jordan was responsible for 49.9% of his team's total offense. That's points and assists. 01 Iverson, 47%. 07 LeBron James, almost 48%. Now looking at overall competition, Jordan's East opponents had a record of 172 and 74. That win percentage just south of 70%. Now the 07 Cavaliers couldn't crack 55%. The 01 Sixers, they did, but still far inferior to Michael Jordan in his competition in 1989 in the Eastern Conference. And here's the cherry on top. Michael Jordan's Bulls, they're dependent on him to do everything. And scoring-wise, if he didn't crack 30 points, they were losing. As looking at the Bulls in games Jordan didn't crack 30, they were 0-5. The 01 Sixers and Iverson didn't score 30, they were 4-4, not great. 07 Cavaliers actually in the positives, and they went 8-4.
It's probably because his shooting percentage sucked. I'm just guessing. But they're actually playing really good when LeBron's not scoring a lot.
For a lot of these playoff runs historically, competition plays a big time role in how they get remembered. And look at the 01 East, 07 East, those conferences compared to 89, they were far, far inferior. As looking at head-to-head record East versus West the last 41 years, the 89 East ranks first all-time for East win percentage at 59.6% versus the West. The 01 East versus the West, a win percentage of 38.3%, that ranked 39th. 07 East, a tad better, at 31st. And if you want to talk 60-win teams, Jordan's East had more of those. 55-win teams, Jordan's East, more of those. 50-win teams, also more of those. And here's the catch. Teams below 500, Jordan's had the least.
Yeah, so anybody who hasn't figured it out yet, what we've been saying all this time is true. LeBron, he was going to the NBA Finals every year and losing in an era where the East was weak. And MJ had to do all of this in an era where the East wasn't just tough, they were dominating. So to get to the finals, That's an impossible task. I mean, a near impossible task. But yeah, MJ still did win 6 for 6 in the finals. I don't like to throw it out there too often, but he did, because once he got through the East, he smashed whoever was best in the West. Because the Eastern Conference Finals was more like the finals for MJ than the actual finals, because that's where, you know, the East was just that strong.
It's good stuff.
And
same way I'll say, like,
it.
in the West, if you had a Western Conference Finals of LA, the Lakers versus the Spurs in the 2000s, that was the real NBA Finals. It wasn't the Lakers versus the Nets or the Lakers versus Philly, you know, because those were blowouts, just slaughters. The real NBA Finals, the 2 best teams, was in the Western Conference Finals those years. So same thing with MJ. The real finals was the Eastern Conference Finals. That's how good they were.
Very quickly, the idea Pippen saved Jordan, kind of carried him anyway, that's 100% false, especially looking at 1980s Pippen versus 1980s Jordan. And according to a fellow YouTuber, that being Self-Research NBA Facts, a very good channel, Michael Jordan 89, the closeout games, was damn near 40 points per game. Scottie Pippen could barely crack double digits. 89 Jordan debatably was the best player alive. Pippen wasn't Pippen yet. Horace wasn't Horace yet. Bill Cartwright, he was old. And Paxson and Hodges, they were just primarily shooters.
Yep.
For Jordan to take this Bulls team to the conference finals, guys who were glorified role players, that is highly, highly impressive given that year's Eastern Conference and how stacked it was. Now, also one thing I do want to hit on is Michael Jordan's outside jump shooting, specifically three-point shooting. Now, Jordan this playoff run took 2.1 per game, a total of 35. Out of those 35, he made 10 for a percentage of 28.6%, which of course is not great.
As far as I remember it, from this point on, MJ's outside shot is going to get better and better and better, because the Pistons taught him a lesson. You can't drive to the basket every play. You got to rely on that jumper a little bit. And this is make or break for a lot of great players. If they don't figure out Westbrook, I'm looking at you. And off the top of my head, LeBron James as well. And that's all I got off the top of my head right now. But there are more players like this that when they were young, they were able to drive to the basket, play after play, and produce, but they could never win a championship. They had to learn to get that mid-range and that three ball down so that the defense doesn't know how to guard you anymore. Then if they start playing up on you at the three-point line, then you can take it to the basket again. Jordan figured this out from this point on, and I guess we'll see that in part 4. And it's one of the biggest disappointments I've seen with LeBron, being a fan of his early on, is that he never figured that out. He never got over the hump. And that's how the Spurs were able to beat them early on. The Pistons were able to beat them because LeBron would just try to drive it to the basket. And if they trapped him, he was screwed. Now, he would try to shoot the outside shot, but he sucked. And this was what MJ needed to learn. He's got to come back stronger physically, mentally stronger, and get his team to be mentally tough. And on top of that, he's got to be able to hit that. He's got to be able to challenge the defense by hitting that outside shot instead of just waiting for him in the paint to pummel him, essentially.
But here's the thing. Providing context to those shots, the majority of those shots, end up quarter shots, end the shot clock shots, and a lot of times half-court heaves.
Yeah, he always did these.
Yes, Jordan shot.
And it comes to Michael.
Once again, MJ didn't care about stats. He did not give a damn.
If you take away those heaves, which there were 6 of them, Jordan this run actually shot 10-29 from deep for a respectable 34.5%. Now, looking at the final part of the video, this is the culmination of everything from 89 Jordan, the stats, the context, all of it in one. Michael Jordan 89 playoffs had 6 straight games of 30 points or more, that ranks 9th all-time. He had 3 straight games of 40 points that ranked 6th, 13 30-point games, that's 9th all-time, 7 40-point games, that's 3rd, 7 games of 30 points and assists, that actually ranks 1st all-time, and 2 games of 40 and 10, which again ranks 1st all-time. I mean, Jordan's historical dominance this year is highly, highly impressive. And you gotta keep remembering, Jordan did not make the NBA Finals, only played 17 games. If he had made the finals, advanced further, those numbers could have been even better and more historic. Now, speaking of historic, we have Jordan's second half scoring. Like I showed you guys numerous times, Jordan the first half majority of games was a pass first player. Now the second half, he was a score first player. And looking at his average, it's 19.1. In all of NBA history and playoff runs of at least 10 games, that ranks 2nd all time, only behind Kevin Durant, who with the Nets did not make the conference finals. Now looking at fourth quarter scoring,
Fourth quarter? Yeah, okay. In the playoffs, Kobe's there just once. Actually, I'm surprised by that.
Production also fantastic. As looking at this list, he comes in top 3 all time at 10.5 points per game and ranks 1st overall for runs
that
made
there
the
4
conference
times.
finals. And still looking at fourth quarter scoring for a single series all time, the highest marks ever. Jordan on this list appears 3 times, and 89 Jordan comes in 8th all time at 12.5 versus the Knicks. All those stats right there, second half figures, fourth quarter scoring, those stats till now have never been known. And once again, Jordan's numbers, now that they're kind of unearthed, brought to light, this guy looks even better. When discussing 89 Jordan, he really checks all the boxes. Carried his team, great scorer, defender, passer, clutch time player, fourth quarter player. I mean, really, he did everything. But the one thing he didn't do, hadn't done yet, was of course,
absolutely,
win a championship.
Yep, and all the way through this point, he was ridiculed. Oh, the video's over. Damn. I guess you're setting it up to where you can just bleed in from one to another. Eventually, when you get to 12, this dude, uncut, don't stop. Eventually, when you get to 12 of these, like, and you combine these into one super video, that's gonna be like, 8 hours long? That's gonna be epic. That is gonna be one epic video. It might even be like the ultimate Michael Jordan video on YouTube. I forgot what the hell I was saying. But dude, speaking to you now, Uncut, I think this is your best work ever. Like, the previous 3 were your best work up until now. This video is phenomenal. Your unbiased take to everything that went down, how it went down, your research, this is phenomenal work, man. And I love it because you're actually you're being honest. Jordan, yeah, he was a god. He was an absolute god here at 89. But there were still a couple of things he can do to improve. And every single year, as you're showing these videos, you take him from his rookie year to his 3rd year. By 87, he learned a ton on what to do. Like teams have figured him out. They're gonna trap him, double team him. He needs to learn how to dish the ball out and facilitate a little better. We started doing that. Now by 89, he's a master of the double team. He's doing whatever the team needs. So if he's going to be pass first, he's going to do it. If he needs to go in and be a score first player, he's going to do it. While every single game he's locking it down on defense, but there's still a missing factor here. And that is going to be, well, 1, get stronger physically, and 2, get stronger mentally. And 3, that's going to play into leadership because he's got to keep his team in check when they face the Pistons the next time, to not get stirred up anymore. And that's his next challenge, as well as learning how to master that. His jumper was already good, but he's gotta trust his jumper as opposed to just trust driving to the basket a little more, and he's going to do that by the next season. And I love it. I love how you're showing this in its timeline, because every single offseason, Jordan is coming back to the next season with one less weakness at least, until eventually, this is why a lot of the people who played against him say he came into the NBA with weaknesses. By the time he was done, he had zero weakness. And this is how it's done. Because he's thinking about this crap all offseason. And he's training all offseason going, that won't happen again. And that's why he's the greatest of all time to me. It's not because he was perfect. It's because he kept improving all the way to the end. Even as a Wizard, 40 years old, I'll say that's the best footwork I've ever seen in a basketball player. Right then and there, 40-year-old Michael Jordan, his footwork was phenomenal. And why did he have to do that? Well, because he lost a lot of his athleticism by that point, So he couldn't rely on just like dunking on people all the time. He had to get people up on the pump fake, and he had to position his body to get a clear shot with his footwork. Brilliant work. I can't wait for the rest of your videos, Uncut. This was phenomenal. Everybody, please head over there, watch the original video. At least go there and give that video a like if you haven't done it yet. I know a bunch of you have been telling me that this video is out, so I believe most of you have already watched the original. But man, this has 27,000 views, and I think it needs 10 times that. Like, this needs to be one of those videos to get like 1 million views. Such great work, Uncut. Leave this video a like, subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this, and please head over to Uncut and give him a subscribe, give him a like, watch some of his videos. This is fantastic work. Everybody, this damn cold is killing me. I just killing my voice. So my voice is gone again. I better wrap it up for today. This is such a long video. If you made it this far, thank you. Shout out down below in the comments if you actually made it through this. And no After Dark tonight, you guys. I got to let my voice recover. And I'll see you all tomorrow. And I'll see you all in the comments before that, all right? Everybody, thanks for watching. Have a wonderful, peaceful night. Tell your loved ones you love them. And let them all know that MJ's the GOAT. Peace out.